Test.
Welcome back.
Test.
Incredible. Broncos win. Sir, I'm winning. Welcome back. Incredible. Broncos win. Sir, I'm going to need you to speak a little quieter. You're peeking your microphone, sir.
They don't ask how, they ask how many.
I want to throw this team off of a cliff.
Week number 4 in the books. I figured we talk some football here. I figured, why not stream this? Because what could go wrong with putting things on live streams and talking about the internet? An incredible day of football. Once again, kickers seem to not be able to do anything. I don't know why we're seeing so many blocks this season, but we had another game-ending block with the Bears-Raiders. The Raiders missed as the Bears blocked. Talk about all the games that happened on Sunday. A little bit of a preview of tonight's game, especially with the Broncos. So you might know I'm a Bronco fan in case you're new. But that's okay. If you're new, you can like and subscribe to the video. Look at this day. I want to start off with, obviously, the first game that happened, which was the Vikings-Steelers Sunday morning game in Dublin, Ireland. You obviously had a beautiful, beautiful day. And the Steelers defense, once again. So I picked the Steelers to win this one. And I don't really know what to make of the Steelers because they're 3-1 right now. Rodgers looked a lot better than he has. The running game wasn't as dominant as you're used to seeing maybe with the Steelers when they're at their best. Caleb Johnson, take a minute to talk about him. He is 6 for 22 in this game, only 3.7 to carry. Caleb Johnson has been such a disappointment. Most of the rookie running backs have been really slow to get going. I mean, yesterday was the first day we saw some of the rookie running backs go. You had Omar and Hampton start getting going. You had Ashton Genty start to get going. They both had great days, but Caleb Johnson's not been very good. Trey Hendrickson has been hit or miss. And RJ Harvey's not getting touches. Maybe that's going to change tonight for the Broncos. But Caleb Johnson for the Steelers, not much. Kenneth Gainwell, 5 carry. He was pretty good, 19 for 99 and 2 touchdowns. But the story of this game for the Vikings and the Steelers, the Steelers defense did fantastic through 3 quarters. It held the Vikings to 6 points. Wentz had 2 picks. Both the picks I wouldn't necessarily put on him. One was bad at the line. The other one was a great play made by TJ Watt to bat the ball out of the air and catch it. But then the fourth quarter came. In the fourth quarter, they just collapsed. 15 points for the Vikings in the fourth quarter. They bring it all the way back, and they come so close to bringing this game back. They ended up turning the ball over on downs and then losing the game to the Steelers. But that brings me to the Steelers on this game. You know, we thought going into this year that Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to elevate the offense for the Steelers, and the defense is going to be good. The defense has been the biggest concern I've had on this team. Yes, the offense sputtered a little bit in the second half, but they did what they needed to. You score 24 points, you usually win a football game. The defense, I don't know what's happening to this team. They're not as dominant as I'm used to seeing them. I mean, the defense was good early. Obviously, they had the 2 picks. They had a fumble return for a touchdown that ended up being called back because Mason, he fumbled it. It was a crazy ruling. He fumbled it, and ended up touching it when he was out of bounds. So the ball was real dead. Which, if you're a fan in Ireland who just went to this game, and this is your first football game you've been to, I can't imagine how confused I would be to watch what I thought was a touchdown and then have it called back and just be sitting there going, I have no clue what happened. Why is this not? Why is this not? Speaking of random rulings, kind of jumping around, but to the Chief-Ravens game, which, number one, I have a couple things to say about this. First off, why are the Chiefs good again? I think I need to bring my microphone down a little bit. Why are the Chiefs good again? Why? Like, they were supposed to be bad. They've been bad all year. They were bad against the Giants. Then they play the Ravens, and all of a sudden they're a great team again. Like, what gives? Patrick Mahomes, 3 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy looks fantastic. Travis Kelce turns back the clock. The defense. I'm starting to get legitimate concerns about this Raven team. And it doesn't have just to do with this season. It's over the course of the tenure of the Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh marriage. And I don't blame this on Lamar Jackson. He's a good quarterback. He had a bad day. But with John Harbaugh, we're starting to see a concerning trend. For one, they can't hold on to leads. And two, they seem to shrink in the biggest moments. Once again, this is not the best Chief team we've seen in the last few years. The Ravens were completely outmatched yesterday. Completely outmatched. That's a concern for the Ravens moving forward. I'm looking at the Ravens. I'm going, I don't see you. You're not playing like a top 5 team like you should. And yes, you could say, okay, they lost to the Bills. They lost to the Chiefs. Good teams. The Chiefs have not been playing good. And the Bills game, it wasn't that they lost to the Bills. Let's get this out of the way. Losing to the Bills is not a problem. Losing to a good team is not a problem. You're going to lose to good teams. You're going to lose to bad. You're going to lose to good teams sometimes. It happens. It's how you lose the game. They blew the game. They blew it. Something that's been a concern for them. You have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. You can't close out a lead? That's concerning. That's a problem to me. The best teams close out football games. It's one of my big knocks on the Broncos right now is that they are not closing out football games. To be one of the best teams in the league, you have to play your best football to close the game out. That's one thing the Chiefs did really, really good last season. I didn't look at the Chiefs last year and think that they were a great team. For being a 15-1 team, they weren't particularly mind-blowing, but they played good defense. They were solid, and they closed out games. And that is something the Ravens aren't doing. They're not closing out games that they should. And this has been a problem going back the last few years. The Chiefs, on the other hand, I guess that they're good again. And that just means that the rest of us in the AFC West are going to suffer for another couple years because, you know, we can't have nice things. Why would you expect anything to be different? It's the Chiefs. Let me pull the stats here for that game because once again the Chiefs do this little Houdini act, right, where they convince us all that they suck, and then they're good. Mahomes 25-37, 270 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, only 1 sack taken. The running game it wasn't even particularly good. Kareem Hunt 13 for 34. Isaiah Pacheco 7 for 35. Gardner Minshew came in and took the kneel downs, which is funny to see Gardner Minshew on that list. But they spread the ball around too. Xavier Worthy 5 catches. Travis Kelce 5 catches. Hollywood Brown had 3 catches. Juju Smith-Schuster looking like the vintage Juju Smith-Schuster, and that's the problem with watching. That's a problem. Going back to the Ravens is this is not the Chiefs have not been playing their best football. The Chiefs have been struggling. This is a great opportunity to beat a good team that's not playing good. The Ravens didn't do that. They dropped to 1-4 or 1-3 on the season now. Obviously, have Lamar dealing with his hamstring injury. I haven't seen anything about that. Looks like he's going to be fine. I imagine they probably pulled him out mostly because he was losing by a bunch. Brought in Cooper Rush, which gave us one of the funniest moments when Cooper Rush threw the football away on 4th and 2. You can't do that. You can't throw the football away on 4th and 2. You have to throw it somewhere. You're going to turn the whatever. But I kind of went on a tangent here about the Chiefs and the Ravens, but if you're a good team, you have to capitalize when you're playing good teams who are playing bad. And you have to close out games. The Ravens aren't doing that. That's why I don't believe in the Ravens as much as I do some other teams. One thing I want to bring up, obviously the title of this video is ties, tears, and touchdowns. I could have been ties, tears, and turnovers. Thought about that too. Talking about the tears. Big news, obviously, 2 major injuries coming out of yesterday. You have Malik Nabers, who's been diagnosed with, I think it was an MCL tear. He's going to be done for the year, which is terrible for my fantasy team. I could tell you that much. But this is a real big loss for a team that just seems to be getting life. Jackson Dart, which I was very low on. I disrespected him in my predictions. I gave the Giants no chance. I said I was going to be very concerned about the Chargers if they lost, which I am, and we'll get to them later. But the Jackson Dart just lost his number 1 receiver 1 game into his career, which is sucks for the Giants and for Brian Dable's job chances. Though Dart looks like a dog. I mean, that dude came out and played a very solid, very good, well-coached Jesse Minter defense, and he excelled. He was clutch, he was calm, he was collected. The moment didn't seem too big for him, which was very impressive. Especially when you look at some of the other young quarterbacks around the league right now. And that's not to say that Dart's going to be fine. Every week he's going to be like this. It's going to be up and down. I mean, look at the Falcons. Last week they lost 30-0. Michael Penix couldn't throw an out route. Everything was horrible. The season was over. The team sucked. Everything was over. And this week they win. They beat a good Commander team, albeit down Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, but still a very good Commander team who put up a very solid fight. So, when you have young quarterbacks, it's an up and down system. Up and down, up and down. Same thing for Broncos fans. The problem for the Broncos fans is it's just been a little bit more down than up lately, but hopefully that bounces back tonight. Another big injury coming out of that game, especially speaking of Jackson Dart and injuries in that game, Joe Alt. Joe Alt has a high ankle sprain. He's going to miss a few weeks. That's, to me, a huge, huge loss for the Chargers. Joe Alt, I think last time I looked, PFF didn't have him graded very well, which I don't really understand what PFF's doing right now. I don't get their grading. There's been a lot of grades I've seen for guys where I'm watching the film and I'm going, I don't know, he seems good to me. So maybe I'm just bad at football, which according to a lot of comment sections I am. But I don't know. It's just doesn't, he's good. Like, he didn't do very good then against Nick Bonito, but Nick Bonito is really good. So I don't know. I don't read into it too much, but that loss is going to be really big for the Chargers. One thing that was huge for the Chargers out of that game is Omarion Hampton is a dog. He was fighting through contact. He looked really, really good, completely comfortable, and totally took that next step, which they need with Najee Harris obviously tearing his Achilles. And so you kind of move on to that next stage, which is what is next for the Chargers. And let me just pull up that game. Actually, you know what I can do? I can let you guys see this too. Just do a little boom. Just hit that. And then we do a little that. Boom. Oh yeah, we got that up. You can see yes, I do have my stream open on the another screen. Yeah, but taking a look at this, obviously, find that Charger game. There it is, 21-18, brutal game. Which Giants defense legit. Justin Herbert with 2 picks on the day was not his finest day, but Omarion Hampton right there. That's what I want to highlight. Can I highlight on here? There it is. Okay, highlighting is broken here. 12 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown. That's incredible. I mean, his long was 54, which was a hell of a run. Receiving wise, Quentin Johnson has found a new gear. And Keenan Allen didn't have the greatest day, but that's the biggest thing you can take away for the Chargers is you got a dude back there at running back. Hampton, I liked him coming out of the draft. I really wanted him to go to Denver. I worried how he was going to do on the Chargers, who have struggled at times with their interior run blocking, but he has excelled in the role. And I looking at the Chargers, that's why I was going to pull this up. I was going to see who they're playing next. Chargers next week, they're going to be going off to play the Commanders, which, we'll see if Jaden Daniels and McLaurin are going to be back. That changes a lot of things. But, yeah, this is the first loss for a team. It's a close loss against a team I think it's better than I thought they were. I think the Giants are a lot better than I thought, and I think most people thought this team was. I think I underestimated the Russell Wilson effect, which I'm a Bronco fan. I should know better than to underestimate the effect of having Russell Wilson on your team. And, obviously in this situation right here, I'm the only person on this panel. So I'm going to ask myself the question. Oh, well, nope. I did that already. I don't need to play that video again. Hold on. Let me get that. Just take that button away. All right. There. See, you don't need to see the intro twice. You can just go back to the beginning of the video. My question for myself is Russell Wilson, is he washed? Is he going to get another job in the NFL? And my answer to that is no. I think the Russell Wilson experiment is done. I do. This is now 3 teams who have given up on Russell Wilson progressively. 4 teams, actually, who have given up on Russell Wilson progressively quicker. You got the Seahawks, who gave up on Russell Wilson in favor of Geno Smith, which at the time didn't seem like a great idea. It worked out fantastically, or at least really pretty good. I mean, he was a lot better than I think most people expected him to be. But that's still a dude who was in a QB battle with Drew Lock at the beginning of the year. Russell Wilson, the Seahawks went, yeah, we're good. We're good. We'll move on. We'll move on from him. The Broncos had it for 2 years. The Broncos went, you know what? We're going to pay you not to play for us. That right there should tell you. Sean Payton decided it was worth more to pay him to not be on the team than to pay him to be on the team. That's bad. It's a really bad sign. And then obviously goes to Pittsburgh. And they give him the run after Justin Fields. Honestly, Justin Fields and his stats, very, very similar. They're not... They didn't... I don't think Russell Wilson played better than Justin Fields. I think it's at very least debatable. Or at very worst debatable. But they give up on him after 1 year. They move on. They go get Aaron Rodgers, who's an improvement. And now Russell Wilson goes to the Giants, who bench him after 3 games. 3 games. He lasted almost 2 seasons in Denver. He lasted half of a season in Pittsburgh. And he lasted 3 games in New York. Where does he go next? And, I mean, maybe there's a team desperate enough to take him, but, let's just go back over to this little screen right here. Let's take a look at the NFL here. Take this look at the standings here. Obviously, okay, so you go through this. The Bills, they're not going to take him, right? They're not going to start him. Patriots have their quarterback. The Jets, I don't imagine the Jets are going to be... I mean, maybe they go off from Fields and they go get a rookie. I don't see them why they'd bring in a vet like Russell Wilson. The Dolphins, hard to know what's going on there. Steelers, No, they're tried it. Bengals, no, they have Burrow. Ravens, no. I mean, the Browns have 2 rookies. You'd think they're going to start one of those. The Colts obviously have, MVP candidate Indiana Jones. Jags have Lawrence. Texans, Stroud. Titans, a rookie. You're going down this list. Oh, my God. You know what would be hilarious? The Las Vegas Raiders. The little reunion between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be hilarious. But outside of something random like that, I don't see a team that. Why would you go out and get an aging veteran quarterback who's had 3 straight seasons of mediocre play? 4 straight seasons, 5 if you go back to Seattle. I don't see the logic really, and why anyone would want to bring him up. But moving on to the rest of these games that happened, because I do want to talk about some of these. I do want to skip down to this game. Packers Cowboys end in a 40-40 scoragami tie. This was one of the games of all time, and by that I mean it was one of the best games of all time, but had one of the weirdest endings. One of the best Sunday Night Footballs. Arguably, this is up there for game of the year. Already, the Cowboys played exceptionally well in this game. Compared to what I expected and what I think most people expected them to do, the Cowboys well exceeded expectations. I mean, their offense put up numbers. The thing with the Cowboys at the end of the day, right, is we know that the Cowboys offense can put up numbers like this. They've been able to do this for years. Dak Prescott is a very good quarterback. I am a big Dak Prescott fan. I think he's very talented. We know these receivers are good. George Pickens is a good receiver. CeeDee Lamb, who wasn't even playing, is a good receiver. Javonte Williams has turned back the clock to a certain extent. Obviously, in this game, he averaged over 4 a carry, which it's been a while since he did this. Actually, I don't remember the last time. I'm kind of curious. Let's do a little Pro Football Reference action. Let's pull up Pro Football Reference. How long has my mic been muted? Just going to take a look at this. Just going to see if I go right here. Okay. I just hit a hotkey. We're fine. I just did it at the very end. Okay, we're good. I thought I muted myself for like half an hour on this. Whew. But like I was saying, this is not what we're worried about. We're not worried about the Cowboys being able to put up 40 points. We know their offense is good. We know Dak Prescott can put up numbers. We know CeeDee Lamb's good. We know George Pickens is good. We know Kevontae Turpin is electric and one of the best, if not the best returner in the game right now. We're worried about the defense. And this defense did force pressure without Micah Parsons. However, this isn't a very good offensive line for the Packers. The Packers' offensive line's injured, not very good. And now, that's not to discredit what the Cowboys did, but if you're hyper-focusing and just focusing on the fact that they got pressure without Micah Parsons, that's cope. Because you still gave up 40 points. 40 points. This is a team that scored 10 last week. 10. That is an elite defense. The Browns is an elite defense. 40 points. That's the problem with the Cowboys, is their defense. And Micah Parsons, he didn't have the biggest game. He had the game-saving sack on Dak Prescott in overtime. Game-saving. So, I think that Kenny Clark played really well in this game. He was very disruptive in the middle. Obviously, disrupted the run game significantly. But if you're a Cowboy fan, you don't feel good about this, in my opinion, because this is what you were worried about. You're not worried about whether they can put up 40 points. You're worried about if they're going to let up 40 points. And obviously, they still are doing that. And it's not sustainable to have to put up 40 points to win every week. And obviously, even in this case, they didn't even win. Now, I want to take a minute to talk about that buffoonery of the clock management at the end of the game for the Green Bay Packers. So what happened if you are not aware, if you did not watch the game? The Packers get the ball in overtime after the Cowboys kick a field goal. Now, with the rules in overtime, you get to go down and either kick a field goal to tie it or touchdown to win it as the second team if the first team kicks a field goal. There's also a time limit, right? So if the time of the half of the overtime expires, game's over. You have 2 timeouts. The Packers use one early in the drive, and then they use another one down the red zone. There's 12 seconds left in the game, and the clock's running because they threw a screen pass on 2nd and goal. The clock is running, and no timeouts. Instead of getting to the line and spiking it, or waiting a few seconds, spiking it so you can bring the kick unit out without having to worry about leaving time on the clock for the Cowboys. The Packers stand around, they look at the sideline, try to get a play in, and they snap the ball with 5 seconds left. By some miracle, they throw it to the end zone, it's incomplete, and the ball hits the ground with 1 second remaining. We're 1 second away from the entire show today being about how bad the clock management was at the end of the game for the Packers. That 1 second saved them from a loss because then they were able to come out, kick the field goal, tie the game, and nobody's happy because no one likes ties. But you can't do that. You need to be prepared. You need to be able to have something better in place than wasting 11 seconds and nearly blowing the game. That is unacceptable management. And from the Packers' perspective, there are a lot of things they need to clean up in this one. For one, their defense was Swiss cheese. They got shredded in this game, especially in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, they got shredded down the field as the Cowboys went down to take the lead. The Packers ended up going back, tying the game. But this Packer defense I was praising them for the first couple weeks, nowhere to be found in this game. This is not the kind of performance you put up as a team. This is not a playoff-worthy performance. No, this is a playoff-worthy game. This game was incredible, back and forth. Like I said, a game of the year candidate. This is not acceptable if you're a team looking there going, oh yeah, we're a Super Bowl contender. No, not with that defense. Defense needs to be able to make stops in the biggest moments. I always talk about it. The best teams, the best players are the best in the biggest moments. Full stop. Full stop. Watch what makes Von Miller one of the greatest pass rushers of all time. Not his sack numbers, which are solid, but not his sack numbers. You can look at his stats and go, he's fine. Playoffs. His playoff resume lines up against anybody. Anybody. Because he was the best player in the biggest games. Every time. In a big game, you knew Von Miller was going to be good. Now, Micah Parsons has a little bit of that gene too. Obviously makes that big play at the end. But this defense needs to be able to do that. You need to know that this team is going to be the best in the biggest moments. Full stop. Full stop. Now, moving on a little bit, let me just take a quick gander through here, see if there's any other scores before we move on to Monday Night Football. Run through really quick. Obviously, let's see here. Panthers, yeah, I think the Bryce Young experiment's over with. Eagles, hold on. Also, let's talk about this. The tush-push variation. The little handoff, fake tush-push it's disgusting. It's unfair. It's unfair. And I don't like it. Titans, Texans, I mean, it's great, but I don't like it. Titans, Texans offense finally started getting going a little bit. Excuse me. Wasn't until the fourth quarter. The Titans, there's something wrong in Tennessee, and it's not Cam Ward. I don't know if Callahan's going to make it through the year at this rate. Colts dropped their first game as the Rams clutch it out. Jaguars over the 49ers. Turnovers plague the 49ers in Purdy's return. And the Jaguars looked like a real team. Their offense started getting going. We already talked about the Ravens, Chiefs, the Bears, Raiders. Ben Johnson I think he's a psychopath. His interview was very creepy. And he's very intense. But the Bears get away with one as another blocked field. So, I have on my notes here, right? I didn't finish writing my notes. And let me pull up the camera so I can make sure I'm able to see this. But see if you can see. What do I have? So many blocks. Why? I need a statistician to tell me why there's so many blocks this season. Is this just, chance and, we're within the margin of error and it's going to, regress to the mean? Because every week there seems to be a game-changing block. We had 3 last week. We had at least 2 blocks today. Or not today, yesterday. The Packers, we didn't even talk about that. McManus extra point block taken back for 2 points, which ends up being the difference in the game. Wild. Obviously, the Bears lose or win because they block a field goal. I don't understand. Why are there so many blocks this season? I need someone to tell me the answer to that. Moving on to Monday Night Football. And, I'm obviously going to talk at length about, or at least a little bit about the Broncos-Bengals game coming up here. But I first want to talk about the Jets-Dolphins game. And now, just let's take a look. I want to see, is there any news on what's his name? The team. So Jermaine Johnson's out as well as Quincy Williams. Those are kind of 2 big losses for the Jets. But talking about the Jets, there it is. This is a big game for both of these teams. Both these teams coming in 0-3. For the Jets, it's a very different experience for both these teams. For the Jets, you're coming into this going, okay, we need the break. We need to take that next step. Aaron Glenn's, I think, done a fine job as a coach so far. They've been very competitive through 3 weeks, even though they've lost. I mean, they were competitive with the Bills at least for part of the game. They took the Steelers to the limit. They almost beat the Bucs. I mean, the Steelers and Bucs, that's 2 teams with winning records. That's 3 straight games against probably playoff teams. And they were in it on all of them. The Bills game got out of hand, but I think this team's pretty solid. I think it's a better team than we saw last year. But at the same time, you need to win.
This is a game where the last three were going, you're playing hard. This is a hard schedule. You played good. It's the consolation prize. And consolation prizes are okay. Moral victories are okay for a time. You can have a certain amount of moral victories. The Steeler game was a moral victory for the Jets. Hey, we didn't get blown out. We looked like a team. Our running game worked. Justin Fields looked good. The Bills game, they were competitive, at least for half of it, but they got a hand. But you didn't have Justin Fields. It was fine. The Buccaneers game, hey, we almost beat a playoff team. All right, and like I said before already, it gave us the greatest celebration, and I've now got to see Aaron Glenn's dance synced up with everything from Earth, Wind, and Fire, and that made me very happy. Wish I could play it here without getting copyright striked. Now, the problem is now you're playing a team that is in freefall. 2 years ago, the Miami Dolphins were the most electric team in the NFL. They were the most exciting team in the NFL. And every year they'd collapse at the end of the year and in the playoffs. Every year. We're now at the point where they're collapsing at the beginning of the season. Mike McDaniels' answers, he seems like a coach out of answers. Tyreek Hill isn't looking like the Tyreek Hill we're used to. Tua Tagovailoa, it's more like Tua turned the ball over right now. And in the argument between Tua and Herbert as social media quarterbacks, Herbert's winning that one. Come here. I'm going to let you in a little secret. Herbert was always winning that debate. It was a stupid debate, but he's clearly winning it now. Tua, going back to Thursday Night Football, last Thursday night, obviously they lost to the Bills. Tua had a brutal interception to seal the game, and he does not look the same. And Tua was never that quarterback that you expected to go out there and be. Tua was never going to be a top 3 quarterback, probably not even a top 5. But he was efficient and consistent. It's not there right now. Maybe Mike McDaniels can get something going, but for the Dolphins in this game, for the Jets, you need to win this one to feel like you're making progress. As I have a thumbtack fall onto my desk, and so I'm closing that thing before I hurt myself. For the Jets, this game is about making progress. You've had enough moral victories. It's time for a real victory. This is the team you need to beat to take the next step. Full stop. This is the team you need to beat to take the next step. To prove that you're different than every other Jets team we've seen for the last decade. For the Dolphins, this is your last chance. This is your last gasp. Falling to 0-4 for the Dolphins would be disaster. Disaster. You're going to get the Panthers the week after, which that should be a win, but you're 1-4 going into the Chargers. I don't see. You have this is a turning point in the game, in the season for the Dolphins. If you cannot win this game, something's got to change. For both these teams, this is a turning point of what kind of team are you? Are you a team that is competitive but never wins? Or are you a team that's truly just below those top teams? Are the Dolphins truly just had a couple bad weeks? Or is it time to blow it up? I mean, I've been a proponent to change the philosophy in Miami for a while. I don't think they're a very well-constructed team. I think that they have a lot of holes from a roster construction that gets exposed in the playoffs. They're not good enough for playoff football right now. They've consistently shown us this. You need to win this game for the Dolphins, or you need to make some changes. So one of these teams is going to walk out of this game as 0-4, doing some major soul searching. And whatever team that is, for the Jets, that means soul searching of what do we need to do next with Aaron Glenn. For the Dolphins, that means soul searching about who's replacing Mike McDaniels. So, Mike McDaniels is coaching for his job, I think, tonight, and should make for an entertaining game because Mike McDaniels, with pulling all the stops out, should be a pretty fun experience. Dolphins obviously home too. Moving on to my Denver Broncos and the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a team. This game again. I just talked about how that is a turning point game for two teams. This is a turning point game for two teams. The Bengals 2-0 to start the season. Then Joe Burrow goes down, which Joe Burrow needs to get protected, or else he's going to end up like Andrew Luck. And I will be very sad to see Andrew Luck happen again, because seeing a guy like Joe Burrow taken away from us as football fans it would break my heart. If you're a Steeler fan or a Raven fan or a Brown fan, I'm sure you're not. You'd be thrilled to not have to play Joe Burrow twice a year. I know I'd be thrilled if I didn't have to play if my team didn't have to play Patrick Mahomes twice a year. But I would be sad to have seen Patrick Mahomes go down and lose his career, because he is an exciting player. Even though he has caused me immense pain over the time, the Bengals got the brakes beat off them by the Vikings in a game where everything fell apart. Everything. In the span of 2 minutes, they pick, fumble. I've never seen a team unravel that quickly. The Bengals, this game is huge for the Bengals because you're playing a 1-2 Bronco team who has struggled to close out games, and you're also a defense that's banged up, especially across the middle, especially with the linebackers, and you're also playing a quarterback room that's a little bit banged up. Pat Surtain, dealing with an ankle injury, has very clearly not been 100% the last few weeks. He's going up against Jamar Chase. T. Higgins really did well against Riley Moss last time they played. Can Riley Moss win this battle? This is a big game for the Bengals. And, if you lose, you drop to 2-2. I think for the Bengals, you're thinking about how you lose this game. The Broncos, I think Broncos fans might come unraveled if they lose this game. Over the last 3 weeks, the Broncos are 1-2. They have trailed for 0 seconds in the fourth quarter. 0 seconds. And they have lost 2 of those games. How is that possible? Because they have lost 2 straight buzzer beater. They have lost to 2 straight buzzer beater kicks. What I say with the Ravens, to be a good team, you have to close out games. The Broncos are not closing out games. Part of that, you have to establish the run game. J.K. Dobbins has been good when he's gotten touches. He hasn't gotten touches. He hasn't got enough touches. R.J. Harvey, combined J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. R.J. Harvey he got like 2 touches on last Sunday. That's not, you can't do that. The Bo Nix has been up and down. Obviously, the defense has been struggling, especially with the linebacking core of Shenaud and Singleton with no Greenlaw, who is out. He's on injured reserve for the next 4 weeks at least, as he continues to struggle with his injury. I think it was a hamstring or calf injury. I'm blanking on the injury right now, but it was a soft tissue injury if I remember right. This is a game the Broncos, you need to rebound. You're playing a backup quarterback. You're at home against a backup quarterback who just got the brakes beat off of him last week. Your defense needs to show up. Your offense is playing a team that just allowed 40 points up on them. You got to get going. The Broncos put up points in the Bengals last season. You're going to have to get going, and as a fan perspective, I hope that this game is a blowout for the Broncos. As an analyst perspective, I hope this game is down to the wire and the Broncos have to close it out. Because time and time again, we've seen the Broncos struggle to close out games. Bo Nix has continually struggled to close out games. He's had chances to close out games against the Chargers now 3 times, against the Bengals last season. multiple games he's had chances to close out and he doesn't. I think for fans' sake, we want to see what he looks like in those moments. We want to see him go, this is my game. I'm winning this game. I don't care. We're winning. And we haven't seen that moment from him. And also, for this, what is a competitive division with the Chiefs looking like they're on the up and up. The Chargers obviously have been very solid. Obviously, they had a little slip up this week, but still, they've been a very solid team. The Broncos, if they fall to 1-3, they're going to be behind the trend on a division and a conference that's very competitive. This is a big game for the Broncos to win this game, especially with how they've lost the last two. You need to come out and dispel some fear, dispel some uncertainty in Broncos country. And I'm looking to see them do that tonight. I think that they're going to be. I think they're going to win this game. I picked them to win. I picked them to win fairly big. My bold prediction over on Let's Talk Broncos, which if you haven't gone and watched Let's Talk Broncos, you should check them out. Let's Talk Broncos on YouTube. But my prediction there was that the Broncos would win and Jake Browning would not be starting by the end of the game. That Brett Rippon would be in the game. So we'll see if that. We'll see how that prediction goes. It's obviously a bold prediction. I'm trying to be spicy. But yeah, we'll see. This game's going to come down to two things. This is going to come down to Riley Moss versus T. Higgins on the defensive side and the running game on the offensive side. I think that you're going to have to get JK and RJ involved in the running game consistently. We've been saying this now for a year and a half. When you have a young quarterback, and Bo Nix is a good quarterback, I think he has the potential to be a good quarterback, a very good quarterback at times. I don't think he has a potential to be in the top echelon of quarterbacks. He's not going to be a Lamar Jackson. He's not going to be a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. But we can see him be very good. Maybe we see him be Dak Prescott. But to be that, look at Prescott's best years. He did those best years when he had a running game. We've been saying this for a year and a half. You got to give him a running game. You have two running backs. You have J.K. Dobbins. You brought in free agency. You went out and got R.J. Harvey. You completely remade this running back room. This running back room needs to work. Big loss for the Broncos. Marvin Mims Jr. is questionable with a back injury. He got in practice. We'll see how that goes. There hasn't been any updates. I checked during this video or during the stream, and I didn't see anything. But those are the two things that can come back to for the Broncos: running game and the Riley Moss versus T. Higgins. Can Riley Moss get his revenge? Riley Moss, I do want to dispel some hatred. People have been hating on my boy Riley Moss because of the problem with cornerback and the problem with everyone having an all-22 film now is that you go through the film, you find that one play he got burnt, and then that's plastered all over social media. Riley Moss has been targeted more than any other corner in the league through 3 weeks. And he has allowed the fewest amount of catches for guys targeted in his range. He's been really good. Yeah, he gets a lot of work because on the other side's Patrick freaking on the other side of the field, not Mahomes, it's Patrick Surtain. I'm going to throw it at Riley Moss too. If I have a choice between Riley Moss and Pat Surtain, he's done a good job. Everyone needs to lay off of him. He's been good. I expect the defense to take a step today. And in this game, to me, like I said with the Chargers, if the Chargers lost against the Giants, I was then concerned. And I'm concerned about the Chargers. I don't know. I'm worried about them. Broncos, if they lose this game, I'm worried about them. I'm very worried about them. And I'm going to sound off on my recap video on Tuesday because I have sleeping people in my house and I can't yell and scream at night. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video in the stream. If you're watching this live, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Leave a like on the stream. Subscribe to the channel. We're on our way, on the road to 500 subscribers. We are a mere 140 subscribers away from 500 subscribers. So click subscribe. Share it with a friend who's a Bronco fan or someone else. Let me know what you think about this week of football. Who do you think is going to win tonight? And once again, I say this every time. I need to get better at my outros because I don't have anything to say here. And I hope you all have a good one.